So what do you got for me today, Boo? Oh,
Top.
I see. You got this is a good one. 10 top habits of mental health. Okay. So let's see what we got here. So one of the habits I see is exercise regular. So what do you do for exercising?
What I do for exercise regularly on number one is to walk at least once or twice a day if I can. If
Okay.
not, if I miss one day of walking, I go, I make it up for that next day of walking.
I see where they said exercising regularly has been shown to improve your mood and reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. Even a short walk or light workout can have positive effects on your mental health. Do you feel better after you get through walking?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Kenny, what do you do for exercise for your mental health?
Just the same, just walking.
Okay, you just walk. I know what I do for my mental health. I walk, I listen to music, I read books. You know, that's good. I like decorating. All that's good for my mental health.
Yes.
But that's really good because I don't say that I would be depressed or uh, having anxiety. But I guess before you get there, you need to start doing some sort of exercise so that won't make you, you
That
know.
won't make you depressed and things like that. That won't make you have anxiety.
Okay, so your sleep habits. It says get enough sleep. You get enough sleep?
I do get enough sleep. Sometimes I go to bed at 10:30, sometimes 12 o'clock, but I try to make it a point to go to sleep at least 6 to 8 hours a day
All
at a
right.
time after I get done with work.
So Kenny, what do you do? How's your sleeping habits?
It depends on my schedule. Sometimes I get like 5 hours or 6 hours. That's
Five,
it.
5 or 6 hours of sleep.
Depending on my work schedule.
Do you wake up through the night, Woody, sometimes?
No, ever since I've been doing my walking habits and eating healthy, no, I don't in the night. Sometimes I do, but I'm working on that every day.
All right. They say when you get enough sleep, adequate sleep is essential for mental health. And it's aim. Your goal is to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night and establish a regular sleep schedule. But the problem with the sleep schedule, everybody is working like through the night. The hours have been extended. Like I see people out at night, they walking their dog. You know, all the lights are on, and it's hard. And people have shows. You know, uh, their employment, you know, cause them to work like from the later shifts, which can be really hard on your mental
Yeah.
health. All right. So, what about connecting with others? Social support is important for mental health. Make time to connect with friends and family. Join a social group or volunteer in your community. What do you do for your social?
Right now, I'm just hanging out with family, although I'm looking into other things for social support. Like, for instance, I'm looking into different types of clubs, like, like learning different languages. I'm also looking into business. I'm looking into different types of groups like sports, like swimming, things like that. That's that's just here.
And even with social groups, sometimes you
And
don't.
sometimes in social groups, you gotta find the right social groups. One of the biggest mistakes that I made is sometimes you may find someone that may have the same unique diagnosis, but they may not have the same values as you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because you can join a social group, or it could be too many people, and you can get
You
overwhelmed.
know, you could get overwhelmed, or you could be like that cancer just waiting for you to die or something like that. Like the women's group said, they said, cancer's for poor people. How come I don't have cancer?
Well, you got into a social group on
NLVD and SPD, when you thinking that, and here's the thing about NLVD and SPD, they didn't want to talk about race, okay? And that's irresponsible. That's numb. They got offended. NLVD got even offended saying about NLD mom cancer survivor, okay? In the SPD group, I was talking to alternatives to medicine, and many people that were SPD had this self-hatred saying, "I wish my mom had medicine," and I was saying that many people have medication of their kids should not be parents in the first place.
and I said that was a bit harsh to say because a lot of times parents don't know where to start.
Parents
And
don't know where to start. start things like that. And I feel really strongly against having medicine for mental health because the medicine just masks the problem. You're still going to be having that problem even with the medicine.
Well, so what we have to do when we look at that, we have to have alternative methods, and one of the
Alternative methods is your diet because once that I did my diet was the one that helped me with my behavior more than medicine.
Did you connect with anybody in the group?
I mean, for the NLVD side, it was Carl Jaff. We were supposed to meet before he died. Okay,
That was unfortunate.
that was unfortunate. Okay,
So, and I think sometimes, even in a specific diagnosis, you can be kind of the person that looks like looks so different from like you say.
it looks so different, and you could just sense that jealousy too. Because here's what happened. I was diagnosed at 4 years, 10 months, and there were a lot of NLVDers that were diagnosed in their late 40s, in their late 50s. And then you had a person, the psychologist like Pia, said, how could you be diagnosed at 4 years, 10 months?
Well,
Pia Savage, yes.
I don't think, and I don't know who you're talking about, but I don't.
Neuropsychology Today.
I don't think that it's so much as jealousy. I think that people don't understand.
They don't even understand themselves, and and it's like the politics of NLVD because you couldn't discuss about your race. And that was really trouble too.
I think what was troubling for me in that group was you were locked into a online chat.
Online chat that just want to talk about the NLV and NL, but we have to incorporate NLVD and SPD and other things to other subjects. It just can't just be one. It just is a supporting cast to other things.
Well, and another thing too, sometimes we have to step outside the
And that's what I said. We have to step outside that threat, step outside that zone.
Yeah.
And they would not, and a lot of them, I think they were playing the victims. That's what they wanted to do, just be victims.
And maybe you had so much support early on, and you're kind of like a hybrid. And a lot of people don't get that type of support in their families, and so they didn't understand you, and you didn't understand them. And so some, even in that realm, I could say, for instance, I can read a book, and you can read the same book, and we're going to get two different messages out of the book, and that happens all the time, So every time that you get into a group or you encounter somebody, they're not going to share the same feelings, the same view on life that you share, but we won't be so harsh to say that they shouldn't be parents. No, we can't say that. Everybody have a different style of of parenting their children. And like I said, some of that could have been because of early on lack of support, or they didn't know where to go to get support. And then this is a lot of information. This is a lot to try to understand. The parent could have been overwhelmed. The child at the time could have been really frustrated. And what I found out when we were going through the diagnosis with you, I was willing to learn. I was like an open book or open door. I wanted to know. And some parents is devastating when they get a diagnosis. Just handling that information alone is, just them feeling like, well, my kid is not going to be this football player. My kid is not going to be, this ballerina. It was probably a lot for them to handle. But like I say, everybody position themselves in a different manner, and sometimes I say things that they could say out of pocket, or I could be too blatant, or it's a little hard when because when you say they shouldn't be a parent, and we want to correct that, I just think that's a little bit rough, They could say I shouldn't be a parent because I've got a lot of blowback from my community for when I went in looking for a diagnosis, and a lot of the people in my community say, well, that's not what we do here. What you need to do is when he get smart or say something that's
Yeah, they need to
that
just beat the child's ass.
felt
That's
that,
what it.
yeah, they felt that you were being disrespectful, but I could understand it more because I had more knowledge on it. The more you informed about something, the better you can treat it.
Yeah, you better. You
The
could just
better you can receive it.
and treat it as well. I also said about going to these be aware of these social groups and these community groups, because sometimes some of these community groups may not have the best interests at heart, and it could take one individual jealousy and hatred too that could be the end of your life or the end of your freedom. So be careful about which community groups and which places you volunteer to.
And that's just not a mental health thing.
That's not a mental health thing. It's anything.
Yeah.
It applies to everyday life.
Yeah. Well, what kind of feedback you got, Kenny? Kind of want to share?
I was thinking about community, and it's interesting because the problem with our community is more of a, we are, what's the word I'm looking for? Traditional. We are not non-traditional. What I mean by not being non-traditional is meaning, stepping outside the box. Now, going back on being outside the pocket for wanting to learn in our community, the problem is kind of like what Bernie Mac said. So, let's beat them to the white meat show. No, beating your kid because they say something inappropriate is not the answer. It just manifests the behavior more. So instead of beating like a white meat show, take a time, read a book. If you don't understand, don't get help, but don't put or treat your kid like the basement child and just not expose them to the public. Because if you don't expose them to the public, how they gonna know how to encounter or interact with other people socially?
That's true. We had a lot of parents that just hide their kids, that are even ashamed that it was autistic. We hung out with a person like that. After that, when Parkville, after that, we stopped hanging out with that person afterwards.
Yeah. Our community sometimes have a tendency to just actually ignore the problem. Like Kenny said, it's a lot of it's traditional, their upbringing. A lot of the things when I was going into getting these specific diagnoses, a lot of things I didn't have to unlearn, because like I said, I was more of an open book and I was willing to learn, and it's just like it, even on the medical side, advocating for your life. It's not all the doctor's fault. This comes back to being placing responsibilities up on the doctor and the patient, or the parent, and and the psychiatric community. So I struggled in my community because whereas I felt that I had many people in my family that had suffered from a mental illness, and it was never it wasn't addressed. It was hidden and made fun of, and I had promised that if something like that happened in my family, that I would try to get as much knowledge and learn as much as I can, and try to find strategies to move ahead, and not not be ashamed, because sometimes what you'll run up on is, even if you have somebody with a mental illness, the problem is not so much as the child, it's them being in that community, not wanting people to know or to hide because they're worried about their image.
And the environment.
Yeah, it's just the environment.
And the environment. And that's even worse. And we have to address the environment.
Now, I see where this is going. It's kind of like in the community, and I'm not calling anyone out. It's kind of like the shushman factor, because it's like shaming. Why you want to shame? It's something, maybe because it's something new they don't understand. Now, the problem with that is, challenge yourself to learn something. Don't be stagnant, like in a box or stagnated, not growing. Now, another thing too, not only our community, but any community with the medical field, a lot of people do what it's called unilateral. Meaning one way, lateral. Basically, we're gonna just shift the decision on the doctor. But it should be bilateral, which is two, meaning going both ways. Accountability should not just be pushed on the doctor. It should come back as a patient, because the doctor is there to give us diagnosis, but we as a patient, it's our life. We have to learn how to advocate for ourselves instead of say, well, the doctor's the expert. No. You're the expert because it's your body. The doctor's not in your body. The doctor's asking you questions, where it hurts, how it hurts, instead of saying, okay, let's prescribe medicine, which medicine only treats the symptom and not the problem. So it's the problem with the doctors, now I'm not placing all the blame, is on the doctor's side, they think it's symptomatic. On the patient's side, we don't advocate for our health. We place everything on the doctor because the doctor is supposed to be the expert. But how the doctor be the expert when the doctor is not living your life, not living your eating habits? You just telling them, or sometimes we just tell them what they want to hear and want to get out the office.
Oh, that's so true as well, because I even said that in the groups. I said, you're the advocate and the captain of your own ship, and they got insulted by it. And it was led to a lot of fights because of that.
Salty dogs.
They are just...
Well, on that side of one of the 10 good habits for connecting, the problem with connecting is once you step out and tell somebody that you have, a mental or physical disorder, it's a disconnect because people don't want you to be connected to them because they feel like, you're not like
And that's
them.
just the so-called normal side. But just imagine if you're just having the same problems as you, it's like a disconnect as well. So you're really disconnected on both sides, not just on one side, but the other side. It's like you're a man without a country.
Now, here's the thing with the APA. And APA is known for, in the past, misdiagnosis of things because people are different. So, like if you have a phobia, okay, for instance, acra, meaning heights. You're afraid of heights. So what the APA says, oh, this person's afraid of heights. And this is the early stage of the American Psychiatric Association. Okay, person's afraid of heights. Let's give them medication. No, you don't medicate a phobia. You walk through and find out what made the person afraid of heights. You go after the problem, not the symptom.
So true.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the next one. The next one said for practicing the top 10 for good mental health is practicing mindfulness. And mindfulness is the practice of being present and focused in the moment. It can help to reduce stress and anxiety and improve overall well-being. And a lot of people focus on the past. And when you're dwelling in the past,
The past should only be used as a learning tool. You should not be living in the past or harping on the past. It should be learned as a learning tool so that way you don't allow the past to affect your present and your future.
Living in the past, it's a stumbling block to success. Success is meaning progress, moving forward, not backwards. You want to live in the moment, but once you live in the moment, you need to go into the next moment. Not just 30 years ago.
We're not doing no Uncle Lord stories or in my day.
No. No Uncle Lawrence story, no Adam's Family, Uncle Fester stories. You're supposed to move forward. Stagnation is like you're in the box. You don't want to step out that comfort zone. Sometimes when you step out of that box, yeah, you're gonna get uncomfortable, but at least you're taking forward progress.
Well, I have a time struggling with mindfulness. Well, because when I talk to a lot of people, they are in the back in the day type era, and it's hard to communicate, with them. Like I said, if I can find my car keys in 3 or 4 minutes, I'm doing good.
Or your phone.
Yeah, but I like talking. Like, I think probably we're the only one on YouTube as a family really opening up about mental health, and we're not trending today. This is
trending for a long time.
This is your life, and a lot of the topics out there, and I think when they say mindfulness, I'm like, everybody is constantly repeating the same
talking points. Develop your own talking points.
If you don't develop your own talking point, you're like that broken record, hitting that little same point. Now back to mindfulness. I'm gonna give a good example of this. Sometimes, even in my own life, yeah, being angry, it's costly. You don't move forward. So what I'm learning to do is, and it's hard for everybody, is to forgive.
I don't do that for I give that forgiveness to God and to the universe. That's what I do.
But here's the thing, though. That way, you don't have this. What I mean by forgive, okay, that's under the bus. Let it go and move on. You don't have to. They don't have to be your road dog. They got their space and time. You got your space and time. Be mindful of yourself and your mental health. Let them do them, because you can't control what they do.
But you can.
They let them act a fool.
Yeah.
You living your best life and do you.
Yeah.
Well, like a lot of times when we talk about mindfulness, we talk about in the exercise realm. People they set certain goals for exercising. They basically do a lot of medication and deep breathing.
Not meditation.
You can sometimes you can play games.
I used to play Monopoly a lot. Now I practice Portuguese and Spanish because, as education, it works on your brain.
Now on mindfulness,
you can. I mean, for my mindfulness, sometimes even if I have a tea drinking exercise, I'm doing good. Because tea makes me feel good. Or it's the foods like when we eat certain foods.
Yeah. And I'm working on other activities that will improve my mindfulness as well. I'm looking into like Simba. I'm looking into swimming, things like that.
And Kenny, you like writing, and even in that writing, you probably you have a gratitude list. Like do you write anything down that you're grateful for? Or?
I love writing. I haven't done it in a while. I have a mental gratitude list that's in my head.
Okay.
But also too, mindfulness. Sometimes people forget to be mindful. We're more mindful of the physical aspect, but when was the last time we focused on the mental aspect of mindfulness and inner peace? Once you find that peace within yourself, because we as human beings, we have this thing called internal and external conflict. External meaning outside yourself, stuff that's not in your control. Internal meaning like the stuff that you have to work with within yourself, like trauma. Sometimes the trauma is internal. So it's all about, once you address that trauma and find ways of moving forward, that's your key to success for inner peace.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in mindfulness, we're not judging people, because the world is not black and white, and
gray.
Trust in mindfulness. That's something that happens. It's a struggle with the mindfulness. You have to accept things that are told to you, and letting go is a practice of mindfulness.
Yeah. Speaking of trust, that's the problem with the men on social media. We have trouble trusting each other because we don't have that sense of brotherhood and camaraderie. The only time you get that brotherhood and camaraderie, hate to say it, military.
We got to pay attention to what we're doing. We got to live in this moment, right in this moment in time now. And like I say, we have to be accepting and not so judgmental, because we do have a tendency to judge people. And that's what happens if you step out here and say, hey, I have a mental disorder, I have a mental illness, because the first, you're going to be judged.
Oh, yes.
You're going to be really judged.
Even in surgery, even after having what I had, I was judged heavily.
Oh, you was.
And I was ostracized. I was kicked off the playground. I wasn't considered, you're not one of us. And, that let me know, well, these people are not going to practice mindfulness. I just have to walk away and accept, how
Accept who you are. And
But
sometimes
sometimes getting kicked off the playground is a good thing.
that's a good thing, because it makes you work on yourself, and it makes you.
Because who want to be the
Who want to be a part of that group anyway to kick you out in the first place?
You don't want to be a clone. I mean,
No.
We are created differently. If the whole world is made of me's or someone else, it'd be a boring place. I mean, that's where the word individual comes from, meaning your own ideals, your own thoughts.
And even with mindfulness, it's your attitude. You got to be kind to people. And you can be curious. You can be curious, but we don't have to be like, if you look at something and you say, well, I don't think I would do that. Well, that might work for them. That may not work for you. And like I said, we're so judgmental of people. And if you went to work today and you told somebody that you had a mental, you're going to be judged. And the job going to judge you too, because you're not going to be working that long. And that's what people are afraid of, because they have to hide. They have to hide behind. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people don't come out, because it's the stigma.
There's the Schussman syndrome.
And it's, they feel like, I'm not only, they so locked into what other people might say that they're not locked into their own illness. And that's what's really that's bad.
And that's why a lot of people, I ain't gonna say that word, so I'm gonna say the word committing sideways, because they're worried about what other people think. Sometimes you have to forget what other people think, because at the end of the day,
if you don't want to live your life based on regret.
You only got one. You got one shot in life. I mean, live in the moment. Take that shot, because when you're on that train to the next journey, you don't want to be saying, I should did this, and this. You should have done this, while you were healthy, but you were so busy
other people and not tending to your own business.
And when you give too much of yourself, and this is very, very dangerous, because you have to draw a fine line of giving to others and giving yourself. But here's the thing, and this is what makes people who are narcissistic, they try to take this as a weakness. A person can be very giving, and they keep taking and taking, and then it's kind of like the caregiver. If you don't, you take care of the person, that's fine, but at the end of the day, the caregiver gives so much of themselves, what is left to give from themselves.
Narcissists, they're not mindful people.
Oh, no.
It's about
themselves.
That's it, and like I said, you're just a tool, and
That's it, you're a tool.
Okay, so let's go to our diet. How that really is good for mental health.
Yeah, no McDonald's.
For my diet, for my mental health, I love lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of fish, and the right type of quality meat. I'm talking grass-fed meat, not the processed stuff. And the quality dairy, not the processed dairy. Okay?
Well, dang.
And I'm having the right type of fats, not not the processed fats.
Well, dang, B. I get called the rabbit because I like lettuce, carrots. I remember calling myself being slick when I was little, thinking I was going to steal an apple. I stole a potato. But hey, it's better be stealing a potato than a cookie.
Well, we can flip that over, and everybody can't afford grass-fed, or they don't have the best diet,
or the
and
resources.
They just have to eat what they can, and maybe our government needs to concentrate on
the right type of foods.
The right foods, because I think with the correct diet, we would have
better. We will have better behavior, better outcomes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be so
and
much,
better decision-making process.
It wouldn't be so much medication distributed, because even any doctor would tell you that the majority of any of your health,
80% to be exact,
would be just diet and exercise. And
shout out to the intentional millionaire and his doctor.
Yeah. Just shout out to the intentional millionaire, because we did have the health versus wealth.
Yep.
And if we just had the right, even if that could be like a major course in school, because we kids now go to school for so many subjects that
you're not going to use them in life.
It's unnecessary.
It's very unnecessary.
I mean,
and with automation, everything is just unnecessary.
Like unnecessary roughness. But here's the thing: if you're gonna teach stuff, teach them how to manage finances. Teach them how to interact with people.
Teach them how to build their own businesses, or teach them how to weld. Teach them how to like the trades, things like that.
Life surviving skills, life lessons,
life surviving skills, different languages. Those are the things that we need to be teaching.
And we need to. One of the things they said here was limit the alcohol and drugs.
Yeah,
it can have a negative effect on your mental health, and if you choose to drink or use drugs, do so in moderation. I don't like no drugs. I don't like no drugs. I am opposed to any drugs.
We're going to blame it on the alcohol.
We're not doing no Jamie Foxx. I'm blaming on the juice. Blaming on the alcohol.
It was the Henny. It was the Henny.
Or the Henny? No, we ain't doing that.
Well, I think when they say moderation, because we're not drinkers, because of why, Kenny?
Oh,
our family was
the dad side of the family. I'm snitching. Yes, oh, sorry, my bad. Oh, my bad. Because it's prevalent in the family.
Yeah.
It's permanent in our family, and we pay consequences for that drink. It's cirrhosis of the liver, loss of judgment. I had only 2 drinks at one time, and you know what happened to me after those 2 beers? I lost 3 days worth of reality after that, and I never did that crap again. Never.
Well, it was a lesson learned.
Yeah, I had so many people that coming up.
I don't know. How do you have fun getting drunk? How?
Well,
self-medication.
Well, back to what you were saying, because sometimes people have trouble coping because of job-related stress. There could be stress going on at home. Sometimes people have a hard time just dealing with reality. So to escape the reality, they go to the bottle, and they want to forget that trauma. They want to forget that hard day of work. They just want to forget. So they alcohol and self-medication just to numb the pain. Here's the thing about being numb. Being numb is dangerous because you can't feel anything. And on the mental aspect of numbness, it could be like a social or a psychopathic behavior.
Yeah, and if you cut out the drinking, that's just like if you start smoking. Smoking is just so hard to stop, because your father fought with that and fought with the alcohol also. But
And he always hated that song, Bad Luck, with Teddy Pendergrass. Because one of the lyrics just said, I gotta cut down on smoking, cut down on smoking, I gotta cut down on drinking, cut down on drinking.
Yeah, it was bad luck.
It was bad luck. It's
With Dad, rest in peace, Mr. G.
Yeah.
It's when you go to in war, there's no heroes or villains. It's just casualties. And one of the casualties in war is your mental health. Once you step on that battlefield, you're still on that battlefield, and you're struggling to deal with the trauma. And the way to cope with any person who been in the military is the drinking, the smoking, and the self medications, because it's like it's PTSD. It's like if you're living it's like reliving it over and over again, and you just have to numb yourself to get by the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of lessons were learned, a lot of lessons were taught, and we were willing to learn, to go to therapy, to understand, because a lot of times people don't realize that whoever's drinking in that family, that affects the whole family.
It does.
Whoever's health is bad in that family, that affects the whole family.
It affects everybody.
And when decisions are made, decisions should be based on, the entire family, not just, like I can't just go out and say I want to get a BBL, or I can't go out and say, I want to have implants, or that's going to affect my whole family. And, what I want to stress right here today is that in any type of procedure, surgery should be the last to be thought of, because, like I said, it's really, and that's to me that's mindfulness, considering other people.
Yeah, because here's the thing about surgeries, going back what Mom was saying, and how it affect families. It's the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
To every reaction. There's action. To every action, there's a reaction. And sometimes surgery, the reaction to that is, you better hope the doctor have mindfulness and fresh for that surgery, because anything that's a wrong cut is called a complication. So, with that being said, surgery is the last card on the table.
Well, they got another top number for mental health is you have to set realistic goals.
Yes.
If you're setting realistic goals, it will boost your self-esteem and improve your mental health. You got to start with smaller. Just don't overwhelm yourself, because sometimes some people get in.
like the Miss Luker effect right here, doing it in steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like doing it in small steps, because I may not be there today, but with small steps each and every day, I'm working towards that goal. You're getting one step closer, smaller and smaller, to that goal.
Shout out to Lewis House, because didn't he say the same principle?
Yeah.
Start out with waking up, and then you wake up, then you make your bed.
Yeah.
And you make your bed. But he also said, while you're doing these steps, going back what you said, write it down. Because if you write something down, you actually do it. Because sometimes when a person talk about it,
and don't have it on their concrete face, they just won't do it.
Or because life is so hectic, we get so caught up in the bustle, we forget.
We forget about it.
And it's like.
And if you can't write like I do, put it on your phone.
Put it on paper.
Or we could put it on your phone. If you can't write, but if you can write, you do like Al Green and Ann Nevers. Step in, you don't know it, that 11 I do. There's only one thing I want you to do. Put it on paper.
Here's the thing about
my favorite song.
and I'm guilty of this, because sometimes if I don't write it down, it's unintentional behavior, because I could be doing this, and the goal that I was supposed to do is over here, but I get caught up with something over here, That could be. I mean, that could be like being like just that ADHD, because with people with ADHD, they have a hard time staying focused.
Yeah.
So with ADHD, they can't multitask. You have, if you like with NLD plus, you give them at least a list of one or two things. Once they do one or two things, give them another thing of one or two things until it builds up to that goal.
Yes.
Because this is what happens to me. And with too many ideas, instead of focusing on that one idea, it just
scatters.
It's disorganization.
Yes.
It's a bloody mess.
And a lot of times we always give an excuse and say, well, I got a plan and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. It's kind of like the YouTube factor, you know. You just say, push the button, you know.
Yes, just push the button.
Wait. Which button? The red button? Or the blue button?
It's gonna be some kind of excuse. That sound like a song.
It sound like Diddy. Ooh, what does this button do?
But like I said, I got better over the years with that, because I used to have that disorganized thinking, because there was so much going on. But when I said, okay, I want to do this today. Okay, got that done. Go to the next thing, get that done until you get to your goal. Back to realistic goal. You don't want to give up and say, oh, I want to be a rapper.
No,
it takes a process to be a rapper.
It's called what they call process goals. You have to go through the process. Like YouTube, it's like a process. Thinking.
You cannot just go.
It's just we focus too much on the reward, but we don't focus on the process to get there.
You have to first you have to have an original thought. Then you have to write the lyric. Once you have the lyric, you have to have a hook. Once you have a hook, you have to have a studio. Once you have a studio, you have to get your lazy behind in the studio. You just can't say, I want to be a rapper in this.
No, it don't work like that.
How many videos you got? One.
Well, wow, I think we covered that pretty good with realistic goals. We got realistic today, and we said we're gonna make this video. We're gonna do this. We're gonna have some fun.
We're gonna be. It's called edutainment. We're gonna be educational along with entertaining too.
Oh yes, edutaining.
All right. So the next one, we gotta practice self-care. That's taking time for yourself and to do things that you enjoy to help reduce your stress and improve your mental health. And this can include activities like you're reading a book,
making
taking a
jerseys,
bath, or practicing a hobby. And now people get in the habit of doing what?
Stuff for others, not taking care of themselves.
That's right. That's the stuff. And what I do for my self-care, I do a lot of walking. I listen to music. I read books. I was even reading books even a day. Couple chapters a book a day. In the morning, I also practice Portuguese every day for like with my Jalonje and my Babel. And also, too, I am looking into learning how to swim as well, because as well for my self-care, to work on my balance.
At the end of the day, self-care is very important. Back to what I was saying about the healthcare giver. You can care for the person, but at the end of the day, if you don't take care of your spiritual health, mental health, physical health, you just, like a light bulb, you just burn out.
Yeah.
You're just a light bulb. You just blow. You just burn out.
And that's how we become. That's how the mental health overlaps into the physical health, because the two are interconnected, and people treat it as a separate entity.
It's not a separate entity. It's both.
It's systematic. It's a system.
Because for sure, if you do something and the mental aspect comes in, then after you worry about it so long, you get weary, and then you end up with an ulcer.
Oh, it connects.
But see, another thing that people don't realize too, also, is when you go to the doctor on that side, you gotta know the difference from pain and suffering. A doctor will never ask you if you're suffering, because I think suffering
is a choice.
Yeah, well, suffering. Well, I don't think so much as that, but I think that suffering is, to me, lies more on the mental side.
It's on the mental side. Pain is like giving you a warning in signals.
Yeah, pain is more physical.
Yeah, pain is more physical and suffering is
More on the
mental.
emotional,
on the
emotional
aspect.
side, on the emotional
So, who
side.
was
Because
it?
I don't ever remember, going into the doctor and he ever said, what did your mom do to you today? Or did you see a shooting? Or,
No.
And you're processing all this negativity that's going on in your, and they say, Doc, I'm really suffering. But when you're talking about pain, I'm leaking blood. I got inflammation. I got a fever. I don't ever recall suffering having a, and somebody might say, well, it might just be a play on words or synonyms, but I always relate pain to the side of the physical side
And suffering on the emotional side.
and suffering on the emotional side. And I think most people, because like I say, doctors never ask you, even when you go to the doctor, I've never ever heard a doctor ask me about any suffering.
No.
None.
Always ask me, could you show me where it hurts? Where is the pain?
Right.
And so that's just embedded in my mind. When he said, I'll point out, the swelling. I don't see my family swelling.
No.
I don't see them inflamed. I always see pain over here.
And suffering in the brain.
And suffering is the brain. That's how I see it.
Yes.
And that's once society gets to that point of separating suffering and pain, maybe we get to the root of the problem and find out that mental, physical is not separate but connected.
Yeah.
Now, when it gets too bad, we'll come to the best thing, a top 10 for the good mental side is you have to seek professional help if you need it. If you're struggling with mental health issues, don't hesitate. Find somebody that you can trust. Don't just find, you know what I'm saying?
Just don't find anybody. Don't find any quack. Just find the best neuropsychologist. The best of the top of the line help. If you cannot be cheap with health professions at all, that is like an investment.
Learn from Johnny Depp.
Learn from Johnny Depp
and Michael Jackson.
And learn from
And also at this time, I'd like to shout out to Nelson, the counselor, who is an exceptional YouTuber on in his area, and he
on narcissists. And I also like to shout out to KU Medical Center as well.
Yeah, and we have good people out there that want to help, and then we have people out there that's looking at what's being said or what's being done to take advantage of you. So you have to kind of build a community of the
right community.
You have to build the right trusted community,
and not the clout chasers.
We call them grand guardians.
Yeah, the grand counselors, the grand guardians, coaches, things like that,
or what they call life advocates.
Oh, life advocates.
Okay.
And
we're not talking about you, Derek Jackson.
Okay, we're not.
No, no beef. What the lead attorney said?
This is a no beef
channel.
Yeah.
Because when he was talking about,
we don't.
We don't beef.
Yeah.
Derek Jackson, I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah.
He's not in my mental sphere.
Yeah.
He's in a different sphere.
He's in a different sphere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's he's over there.
Yeah, we're over here.
And there you go.
Go.
So next, we have to practice gratitude.
Yeah.
You have to focus on positive things in your life that can help you improve your mental health, and take time each day to reflect on what you're grateful for. So
I am grateful that I have understanding family like my mom and my brother. I am grateful that I live in the Midwest instead of Texas, Florida, California, and New York.
Smoky New York.
Yep.
right. What are you grateful for, Kenny?
A lot of things, but I'm gonna make it short.
Okay.
The 3 F's: faith, family, and friends. There we go.
Faith, family, and friends. All right. And what I'm grateful for is I'm grateful that I have you guys. I'm grateful that you all were willing to open up, because this opens up your life to a lot of people, and open up and say, you know what, we're gonna do this as a family, we want to show people in our community, outside our community, further out, that, you know, there has been a stigma placed on us too. But there are many families that are struggling and trying to help and need the resources to know where to start. And if we could play a part in getting them information, showing them that there's no shame in our game.
Oh no.
Okay, there's no shame. You don't have to be ashamed of, you know, having people in the family or being able, because it's hard. It's hard for people to open up.
The struggle bus is real, y'all. The struggle bus is real.
And, you know, I found that with also with having breast cancer, it was hard to talk to a lot of women and hard to open up, and it wasn't.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was really rough. But like I said, I'm glad we're here today, as a family, as being united and saying that, you know, we want.
We're the last clan standing.
No, we're not the last clan standing. You know, we want people to know that it's okay to open up and talk about, you know, the traumas, the grief, the loneliness,
True.
you know, the heartbreak, the pain.
Right.
It is okay to talk about that, because what we're looking for is the end of it is to diminish all of those things, because they may never go away, but to manage it so that we can live a quality of life.
Minimize.
To minimize it.
And also to being grateful. I'm going to challenge people in not only in the mental sphere, but in all the spheres. Please stop using the word mistakes, because the word mistake leaves a negative connotation. If something happens, it's a life lesson.
It's a lesson that you learn.
And you move forward.
And you learn forward.
You don't beat yourself. Well, I shouldn't have done that. It was a mistake. No. The question you should ask yourself: did I learn from it? Yes or no. Next,
and how do I prevent that from happening again the next time?
And right, and the response is moving forward.
And a lot of times people think that when something lands on their doorstep, that it's terrifying. Maybe that's the first thought, but it's always been my thought that when it landed on my doorstep, it was a life lesson. This gives me the opportunity to learn as much as I can. This gives me the opportunity to level up, to skill up, and not place the blame on one side. Is to say that if I have this particular disease, I need to learn as much as I can to advocate for myself, my family, for my friends, you know, because we look at things as always being a tragedy instead of an opportunity to learn. So before we go,
yeah, I think we were so easy as society placing the blame instead of the word self-accountability, holding ourselves accountable.
It's true.
Okay, so on those top 10 good habits to have for your mental health, before we get out of here, it says we got to exercise regular. We covered that one. It says you got to get enough sleep. We covered that one. You got to connect with others. We got that one. We practice mindfulness. We got to practice that a whole lot. We covered that one. You got to eat a healthy diet. That's another one.
Yep.
You really have to
Stay away from the McDonald's.
You have to limit the alcohol and the drug use.
Mm-hmm.
You have to set realistic goals.
Yes.
You have to practice self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be ashamed in your game.
Oh, don't be
Seek
ashamed.
professional help.
Yes.
If you need it.
Right.
And trusting people that you can seek
The
professional
right
help.
people.
The right people. And last but not least, practice gratitude. I'm thankful that everybody tuned in and listened to us today, and we hope to see you on the next one.
And before I also go, I also have the gratitude of meeting nice people like Gail at Night, the kindest sister on the planet.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to show some gratitude. Like us and come back because we got more for you.
All right, and we're out of here.
We're out.